بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we continue with Surah Al-Jathiya. بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأما الذين كفروا أفلم تكن آياتي تتلى عليكم فاستكبرتم وكنتم قوما مجرمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and for those that disbelieved. So we are continuing here because in the earlier ayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about those that amanu wa amilu salihat, that believed and did the righteous deeds. Allah will enter them into His rahmah and enter them into al-Jannah. And then He talks about the other people. So subhanAllah, normally you find in the Quran, or maybe even always you find in the Quran, when Allah talks about the Ahlul Jannah, He will talk about the Ahlul Nar afterwards. Or when He will talk about the Ahlul Nar, He will talk about the Ahlul Jannah. So you will find this duality many instances in the Quran. So here, and for those that disbelieved, أَفَلَمْ تَكُنْ آيَاتِي تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ, were not our ayat, tutla alaykum, our verses. So literally here, ayat means the verses of the Quran. Were they not recited upon you? So the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, in his da'wah, the Quran was used, as mentioned before, as a source of da'wah, as a fresh flowing river that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was providing to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and to the Muslims in their da'wah with the Quraysh of Mecca. And so these verses would come, Allah will reveal them to Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, and then he will recite it upon the disbelievers in order to guide them to the truth. And the Muslims would do the same. And if you look to subhanAllah, many of the arguments that the Quraysh bring, this subhanAllah, they are almost identical to the arguments the atheists and the agnostics bring today. Very little difference, subhanAllah. So these same verses can be used, because this is from Allah Azza wa Jal. This is from the creator of the heavens and the earth, the knower of all. We can use these same arguments in our discussion with the non-believers. So when our ayat recited upon you, and this also to mention, ayat literally means the verses of the Quran. But ayat also means miracles and signs. And these miracles and signs are present in all of the creation. And what do we have today? What replaced the church in Europe? The scientists and science. So what do scientists and science do? They study the creation. Now, when you study the creation, you can come to no other conclusion that these are created. That there was a designer and a creator for these things. So science should lead the scientist to the inevitable conclusion that this thing I am studying was designed and was created. But why doesn't this happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us why. فَاسْتَكْبَرْتُمْ, you became arrogant. How can you listen to the ayat, the miracles, the Quran itself is a miracle, these ayat, and not accept the truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is portraying in it? And again, how can you study the creation in such detail and come to the conclusion that this is a created thing? For this reason, kibr, arrogance. Subhanallah, what an evil characteristic this is. That it is the characteristics that will lead one to the fire. I was telling my kids this the other day. That arrogance is a path to the fire. And arrogance has many branches, has many roots, has many rotten fruit that exist, unfortunately, within us. And we should be like the farmer trying to root out these weeds of arrogance, because weeds, as you know, and anyone that knows has a garden, they keep on popping up. And we as a mu'mineen, we should try and root out this arrogance, because this is the arrogance that causes people to enter the fire. They see the clear signs of Allah and they deny. They deny the inevitable. They deny the blatantly obvious because they were arrogant. فَاسْتَكْبَرْتُمْ وَكُنْتُمْ قَوْمًا مُجْرِمِينَ. And you were a criminal people, an evil, wrongdoing people. So this kibr, I will speak about inshallah in later sessions. It requires volumes and volumes. And we should be guarded against that, because this same kibr was the cause of the falling of shaitan from the heaven. This kibr. And shaitan uses this same character that caused him to fail to try and push that same button in our characteristics, so that he can take as many of the children of Adam to the fire with him. And here I'd like to mention about Richard Dawkins, a famous atheist, evolutionist, and denier of the creator. You know, you hear about evolution going through school here. You hear about it from, you know, when they study it, you taught it in science, and you hear it in every now and you can't go past a day without them talking about, oh, this is because of evolution, this because of evolution. This nonsense theory. So I thought I'm going to read Richard Dawkins' book, his book called The Greatest Show on Earth, which is his for him, his proof that evolution is the way why we have all of this biological creation, and that we don't need a creator. And subhanAllah, when I was reading through this book, I was making notes for and against. Going through this, I tried to be as unbiased as possible. And so I was like, for evolution, against evolution. So every time I was going through it, the arguments he was bringing, I was like, actually, these are arguments for a creation. These are arguments for a creator. These are arguments for a designer. How can you bring these as arguments against the creator? These are the opposite. These are arguments for a creator. Like, how can you study this in such a detail and come to the conclusion, oh, we don't need a creator. There is no creator. Na'udhu billahi min dhalik. Why is that? Why did he come to that conclusion? Not because of what he was studying or because of the data, but because of this. Al-Kibr, arrogance. He doesn't want to accept there is a creator. That's how he started off his study. I want to prove that there isn't a creator, rather than studying the creation and letting that lead you towards the truth, because it will lead you towards no other outcome that this clearly had a designer behind it. And so this is Kibr. Kibr, the anchor to the fire. So this is the anchor that unfortunately takes many of the unbelievers to the fire, and we should be warned against it, because it can be the same anchor that drags us into the fire as well. وأقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم.